Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am joined here, as always, by the man who may or may not have been eating mac and cheese from the hours of 4 to 7 today. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. The mac and cheese was cooking. It was nice and perfectly banked. Had the nice panko crumbs on top. Just the way to do it. Good stuff this week. Patriots win. I'm hyped.
Yeah, was it
America's hyped.
Kraft mac and cheese, perhaps?
No, this is fine baked. I mean, today actually might have been Kraft mac and cheese, but typically we're getting fine baked mac and cheese. With the panko crumbs. Maybe if he's feeling frisky, he's throwing some Wagyu beef in there, really spicing it up, and that's the beautiful mac and cheese. But today was a little bit of Kraft mac and cheese, but it got the job done.
Yes, I was more making a Robert Kraft joke, but yeah, mac and cheese underratedly difficult to make, like to actually make.
It is
not like the box stuff, but yeah, I tried to make like actually cook mac and cheese. It was I didn't realize you could I didn't realize that you could overcook milk. I overcooked the milk. It was a whole mess.
Huh. Well, the good news in my year experience of working at Hooters and before that at Publix in the deli. All of the mac and cheese I made was in a bag, so I didn't have an opportunity to mess it up.
Yeah, that's the move. It's not the extra nice taste, a little bit extra, not worth it. Speaking of not worth it, this Sunday night football game, maybe not worth watching. Although we should mention right off the top before we get into this, we plan on the current plan as of right now is that we will not be podcasting next week. I'm going to be flying back from a wedding then, so I'm not really going to be able to watch the games the way I typically will. So what we're thinking we're going to do is we'll do our Wednesday show and we'll kind of talk about the games that happened and then preview as we typically do. So no show, at least that's our working plan as of right now. So but we have a fun show tonight. Kyle, the Vikings are dead.
Yes, Mike Zimmer should be launched into the sun at this point. Clint Kubiak should be launched into the sun at this point. I don't understand what they're doing. This team is just hell-bent on getting 3 yards on every first down because it wants to run the ball so much. Guess what? Running the ball a lot is great when you have Derrick Henry. You know who they don't have is Derrick Henry. And it's so stupid to keep watching this team with Justin Jefferson, with Adam Thielen, with, KJ Osborne, Tyler Conklin. There's real guys on this team. And Kirk Cousins has had a pretty good year. Real guys on this team. And they're stuck in 2nd and 7, 2nd and 8, 3rd and long all the time because they're so crazy about getting Alexander Mattison touches late in games. They had that one drive at the end that they actually started to move the ball thanks to the refs calling every touch foul as a roughing the passer or unnecessary roughness. And all of this is just, every other play was just constantly running straight into the offensive guards. And it's just you're allowed to throw the ball late in games, right? You're allowed to do it. I just don't understand what they were doing here. This was a total letdown. I felt so stupid betting Dallas -1.5 in our lock pick, my lock of the week. And then it's this whole Dak thing, which was weird, by the way. We can get to that in a second. All of a sudden, Dak's not playing. And still, I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I really trust the Vikings. So, and then they continue to surprise me with how, just inept they are. It was a bad performance.
Yes, the great overlap 618 back in the chat. I'm back, boys. I'm back here to watch you bring that fire. Fire Zimmer. All right. Yeah. I mean, I think I agree. Well, what's interesting is that you look at the final numbers. Kirk Cousins ended up with 35 pass attempts to just 21 rushing attempts. That actually feels like, okay, well, that's not, horrible Viking stuff. But I feel like at least a good third of Kirk Cousins' passing attempts were just screen passes or design plays to go for 3 yards. It feels a very I made the joke about Matt Nagy where it's he has 37 different ways to get your team 7 yards. Well, the Vikings are like that, but for 4 yards.
Yeah, I mean, everything just seems to be underneath. They don't take a lot of chances. And I guess you could kind of say, hey, we don't really want to challenge this Dallas secondary, which gets a bunch of turnovers every game. But at the same time, what's the point of having Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson if you're not going to take those chances? They took one shot downfield, it seemed all game with those guys. Or really 2 shots. One, it was the one that Jefferson just missed, and the other was the Thielen touchdown. And outside of that, it seems like they didn't really want to take any chances.
Yeah, it's funny. Justin Jefferson burned Diggs multiple times in the first drive, at least in the first quarter, and they're okay, let's not do that again. That was enough.
that looks way too successful for us. Let's calm down. But on the other side, you got to give credit to Dallas too, right?
Yeah.
They went out and got this win. You didn't have your starting quarterback, which I do want to say this whole situation was really weird. So it's
Hmm.
like he was questionable during the week. He comes out to reporters and says he feels fine. He feels like he's good to go. Uh, then we're like, oh, well, we'll see what happens on game day. He does this full on workout before the game, and everyone's like, oh, wow, he looks great out there during this workout. And
Hmm.
then still, it's like, okay, well, he's not going to play. It's like, what is the point of all this? I just didn't
Yeah.
understand all of it. But, Cooper, I almost said Cooper Cup. Cooper Rush came in, made some nice plays, made some bad plays, but he also made some nice plays, got them the win.
Yeah, I mean Cooper Rush. This is a big week for backup quarterbacks here in Week 8. Cooper Rush, 325 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also, hey, Cedric Wilson, 1 pass for 1 completion,
That was
35
the
yards
best throw of the
himself.
night.
Yeah, that's a great throw. Part of me feels like with this game, you look at the third down, conversion percentage. The Dallas Cowboys were 7 for 14. The Vikings were 1 for 13. So like that's a huge difference. And part of me feels like to some degree that's luck, right? Like, your plays happened to work out for Dallas and they didn't work out for Minnesota. But another part is like, well, you kept setting your team up for 3rd down and 5s, 3rd down and 7s, whereas like at least Dallas, like a lot of them were shorter. At least that's how it feels.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree because it's not necessarily about the run pass ratio when it comes to Minnesota. Because, like you said, they did throw the ball a significant amount more than they ran
Hmm.
the ball. It's when they run the ball and how they do it and how they set up their passing game that I just think is a mistake. I think their whole play calling's out of whack. I think they're trying to be like Tennessee, and this team just isn't built like Tennessee because they have really good receivers. They have really good receivers and a good quarterback, and their running back isn't Derrick Henry, and their offensive line isn't at that level either.
Yeah, I just again, I don't get it. I've never got it. I still stand by my original take. I think we both were high on the Vikings' talent, but also kind of acknowledge this coaching. I don't know how far they're going to take it. I think that I think this could be a candidate for if they get rid of Zimmer, which I think again. Zimmer's done a lot of good things. I don't think that like it's like a run Zimmer out of the building type thing. I just think that like his time is probably up, and you get a new coach. This could be a candidate for like a surprise team in 2022.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. I think that this is he's on his way out. I think this is his last season. I think, like you said, because of they had won a couple divisions with him and all that kind of stuff with that sort of pedigree. I think he's going to get the season. I just don't think he's going to last beyond it.
Yeah, and also like defensive minded coaches, like typically like they do a lot better in defensive coordinator roles than in head coaching roles. That's kind of like a thing like I just stumbled across during one of my videos. I forget what. It's like you look at a lot of like these like in defense, good defensive coaches, like they usually don't succeed as head coaches. Like there's usually a pretty big drop off.
Yeah, I don't know the correlation behind it. I don't know what it is. You know, obviously Zimmer had good seasons, so
Hmm.
it wasn't like it was all that. But then you're looking at like, you're looking at like Brian Flores up until this season had good seasons. There's other coaches who have, but and Brandon Staley is obviously off to a pretty good start this year. So I don't really know what it means, but it does seem kind of weird that it seems like everyone's kind of wants the new offensive guy, and it just seems like those guys are kind of working right now.
Yeah. Also, give a little credit to Dallas, a little more credit to Dallas. We already kind of touched on it a bit, but this is kind of what I say. Where like receivers are underrated. Of this receiving core kind of won them this game, and like Cedric Wilson had that like insane play where I was just like watching the game, like what? Cedric Wilson just like deked out like 7 guys. What just happened? Like that was just like one of those like mind blowing. I can't believe that just happened plays.
Yeah, and it just seemed like really their stars kind of showed up. Elliott didn't have the biggest running day, but he came
Mhm.
up big at the end with that third down conversion, which was just insane. He was able to convert that. Amari Cooper had a very good game, and his 2 biggest catches were at the end of the night. So, I mean, that says everything. That was his big moment. CeeDee Lamb was basically open all night, even with a couple one bad drop, but still, for the most part, just completely dominated this game at points. So yeah, I mean, I thought everybody that was just star wise for Dallas was really good in this game.
Yeah, I think so as well. Let's move on. Let's go to another game here. Let's just go here. Buccaneers at Saints. This was a tough one. Kyle, you know what was the worst part about this? I'm not typically not one to talk about like my bets because I feel like for the most part, like who cares what you bet? But I live bet the Buccaneers plus 8.5, thinking of course they're going to come back and make a game of this. That was a bad beat, ending up losing by 9 points here.
Yeah, it was just like I don't know. They got off to such a bad start, and then it was just like, oh, New Orleans has them again, and then they come roaring back, and it's just like, okay, well they're going to win now. And then Trevor Siemian just goes down and gets the points that he needs. And then Brady throws the pick. And it was just like, okay, well, this is over. I mean, give credit to New Orleans because they went through a lot in this game. Kamara really couldn't get going in this game for large parts of it. He managed to bounce back and have an okay day. And then it was like, obviously losing Jameis Winston was a huge deal. And they still found ways to win. They still found a way to win. I just is that just kind of is that just their shtick at this point? This team's just going to find weird ways to win games.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Tampa Bay outgained New Orleans in terms of yards per play, 7.3 to New Orleans, just 5.0. But the turnover battle was the difference. Tampa Bay turned it over 3 times. New Orleans didn't turn it over at all. Tom Brady had a very odd game because he turned the ball over 3 times. He also threw for 375 yards on 40 attempts, so nearly 10 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns. I mean, part of that was inflated by the 50-yard touchdown to Cyril Grayson, where New Orleans decided that covering him is an option, and that allowed them to get a free 50 yards. But even without that, you saw Brady kind of have ups and downs. Like Mike Evans burned Lattimore a couple of times in this game. One time Brady didn't even see him. The other time he overthrew it. Finally hit him on the touchdown earlier. So it's like it was just kind of an odd game. Tampa Bay didn't play their best by far. I think the story of this game is Tampa Bay 11 penalties with 99 yards to New Orleans 2 penalties for 10 yards. Tampa Bay fans were complaining about the refs, but like they were putting themselves in position to get these penalties. I mean, a couple I didn't like, but at the same time, it's like when you're getting a dozen, like, yeah, okay, I'm not going to love all of them. Like Devin White had a bad one where he was just taunting, in that final drive. And it's kind of like, okay, I hate that. I hate that rule, but we all know the rule. Why are you doing that? There were just some bad penalties by Tampa Bay, and that was the difference. If penalties were equal in this game, Tampa Bay wins.
Yeah, the only one I didn't really like was the Goldson roughing the passer that led to
that one was
touchdown.
Insane. That one was really
like
bad.
He's literally getting his helmet ripped off his head, and he's supposed to like see the quarterback has thrown the ball, and like I just didn't get it. But anyway,
to set that up for if anyone missed it, basically what happened was William Golston rushing the passer, hands to the face, takes his helmet off. He doesn't really see where he is, runs into the quarterback, gets a 15-yard roughing the passer penalty. One of the weirder ones, but again, and that negated a turnover by New Orleans. But again, I'm not complaining because luck is a part of the game. Sometimes you get the calls, sometimes you don't.
Yeah, exactly. So New Orleans played like a winning team today. They didn't turn the ball over a whole lot. They didn't commit penalties. Tampa Bay turned the ball over a lot, and they committed a bunch of penalties. Even if you take away a couple of those calls, it's still 9 penalties for a lot of yards. So, so at the end of the day, Tampa Bay deserved to lose because of that. That being said, I still think this is probably the best team in the NFC with what they can do offensively. I mean, at their best, they're still getting like 10 yards per play, like you were saying. They still have a good defense that I think is just going to get better as guys get healthier. And I still think they're going to be fine. And I think I was just more impressed with the New Orleans win, being able to win this game. I'm just convinced that this is going to be a playoff team. I don't think it's going to look sexy ever, but this team's just going to win because they have that coaching staff, they have playmakers in the backfield, and they have an incredible defense.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking good for the Saints. They have they have some easy wins here, or at least some games that should be wins with, 2 games against the Falcons, a game against Philadelphia, a game against Carolina, a game against Miami, a game against the Jets. So they have some wins on their schedule. The issue with New Orleans is just Jameis Winston. It appears a torn ACL. That's a tough break. And, with Trevor Siemian, I don't know. People were making jokes about how the Bucs lost to Trevor Siemian. Trevor Siemian's an all right player. Like he has a career. He has a positive win percentage in terms of his career. I get, played for the Broncos, not great defense, but still, he's not a horrible backup. Also, you have the Taysom Hill in there, but you have to think, I mean, would you have traded this win for for a healthy quarterback, I don't know. That's a tough. It's tough that Winston went down here. It made the game a lot less fun because that was kind of what we were all looking forward to, was Winston playing his former team, and now out for a year probably.
Yeah, so here's the question for you. I have two. Number one, is Taysom Hill the starting quarterback next week?
If he's healthy, I think yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then number two, is Andy Dalton the possibility here?
Ooh, and so I was thinking maybe like, what about a Ryan Fitzpatrick? Or maybe the better question is, could they trade for somebody? And trade deadline's coming up soon.
Yeah.
I think there's some logic behind it. Like, I guess the question is just how much of an upgrade is it over Taysom Hill? I think if it's even marginal, like, I mean, would a team give you like a 5th round pick? Or even like, if you want like Taylor Heineke or something for like a 5th round pick or whatever, like what Washington would probably do that. I think there's some real logic there. Let me go one step further, Kyle. What about, could this be a Tua team? We talked about this earlier. I mean, it's a perfect fit. Tua's been on the trade block. I mean, why not?
I mean, I'm sure the Saints would jump at the opportunity. The problem is I don't think the Deshaun Watson talk's actually going to come to fruition. And I don't see them trading Tua unless that trade happens for Watson. And I just don't buy any of that hype behind that trade actually happening. At least there's no incentive for the Texans to make that trade during the season. They're just going to wait to the offseason. If, things clear up. So I just don't believe that they would trade Tua without having an idea that Watson's going to be a Dolphin.
Yeah, I also wonder how much of this is moving chairs on the Titanic a little bit, of like, if you get Andy Dalton, if you get Ryan Fitzpatrick, are you better? Sure. Is this now a Super Bowl team? I just don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that I think there's a few guys you could go after. And I guess the thing would be is like, you can't imagine Andy Dalton costing a whole lot, right? And that'd be the reason for doing it.
Yeah, I think that I definitely think there's logic to it. Why not take a chance? And that, again, maybe, hopefully, things work out come postseason time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with the Saints, but yeah, I mean, they keep finding a way to win these games, so give them credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Saints are for real. Let's move on. Let's just go from my team to your team, Kyle. I know you're pumped up about this. We both predicted that the Patriots would win this game, pull off the upset. They did. I made Mac Jones the cover, even though, again, his it's not like he was incredible or anything, but the Patriots get it done. Patriots are all the way back.
It felt
good to win. They're somewhat back.
It felt good to win this game for sure. Because it's like, I was watching this game and it's just like everything that was so non-Patriots about this team to start the season was coming to fruition again. They had a bad turnover in the Chargers territory. They had Damian Harris had 51 yards rushing, called back by holding penalties. One of them was for a touchdown. And I'm just like, we're just going to do all this stuff all over again. And it's just going to kill me watching this team lose by 3. All of a sudden, they start to come alive. And then, it wasn't the best drive ever or anything like that. But the way that Mac Jones chewed like 6 minutes off the clock and just completed pass after pass, and then just got play after play for positive yardage, I mean, that was just huge because he really struggled in this game at points. He started really good. He was like 6 for 9, over 100 yards. Everything looked great. And then it was disastrous for the second quarter and part of the third quarter. And then he really kind of came back alive in the fourth quarter, got things going, and he got us down to the points range to get that 10-point lead right at the end, which obviously proved to be the difference and got that win.
Yeah. Another aspect of this, I mean, I thought should be mentioned, kind of the difference in this game was a miscommunication resulting right to a pick 6, right? Like that happened for the Chargers, a miscommunication. Justin Herbert and I believe it was his halfback who weren't on the same page.
That was Jared Cook.
Okay, gotcha. And leads directly to a pick 6. I mean, that obviously helped. Like that's kind of the flukiness of football. The Chargers did end up outgaining the Patriots in terms of yards per play, 6.4 to 4.7, but that's also partially by design. The Patriots have sort of never been a high yards per play team, so that kind of it's not exactly even footing there. So let me ask you, if these teams play each other 101 times, who wins 51 or more times? Or is it close?
I'd probably lean us right now. I don't think it'd be I don't think we'd win like 60. Like I could see like a 55-45 sort of situation. I just think we kind of have their number, even in this game. Like we've seen some of it in the chat. Uh, the way we defend and the way we set up our coverages kind of bothered this team. They kind of changed things up a little bit. They did a little bit more zone this time around compared to man, but they still got a lot of pass rush. Matthew Judon, again, incredible in this game. We shut down Mike Williams basically in this one. Keenan Allen had some moments, but at the same time struggled at points. Had a big drop too that really hurt the team. And yeah, I mean, outside of 2 giant running plays, we kind of shut them down on offense. And so I kind of feel good about playing this team right now.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, this is the Patriots certainly have the Chargers number at this point. Poor Chargers fans. I mean, they must not be happy with New England.
Yeah, you gotta hate it. Fun fact: Bill Belichick this season, or the Patriots this season, are 4-0 against rookie head coaches, and
Interesting.
0-4 against everyone else.
All right, so here's my question for you, Kyle. Because again, I watched a decent amount of this game, but I didn't watch all of it because I know that you're keeping a close eye on it. 2 questions. How much do you like the Patriots' chances of making the playoffs? And how much does this loss mean for the Chargers? Let's take the Patriots side first.
So the Patriots side, I kind of tweeted about this. They have an interesting schedule coming up that makes this interesting. I think that this could be a playoff team, and honestly, I think it is talented enough to be a playoff team, especially with the Colts dropping another game. But I was looking at the schedule, and so the next 3 weeks, I feel like they kind of have to go 3-0. So they have Atlanta, Cleveland, and Carolina the next 3 weeks. And then to end the season, they have Jacksonville and Miami. So if they win those games, that puts them at 9 potential wins for the season if they win them. Between that stretch, they have their bye week along with Tennessee, Buffalo, Indianapolis, Buffalo. So over those 5 weeks, those are 4 really tough opponents, and they probably have to win the Indianapolis one as well. And those are also teams kind of in our path with, you're looking at Cleveland, you're looking at Indianapolis. Those are teams we're going to have to beat to make the playoffs. And so I think there's a good chance. The schedule definitely, I don't think it's the most difficult schedule. It's a difficult schedule though, and they got to be able to manage it. But there are teams that we should beat, that we can beat, that puts us in a playoff spot while also hurting their chances.
Yep. I don't know. I mean, listen, one thing that's worth mentioning is there's a 7th playoff spot, right? So like the Dolphins winning 10 games and missing the playoffs, that's not going to happen too often. Currently right now, the Steelers are in a playoff spot. We'll talk about that in a second at 4-3. So you're only a half game out as of right now. So I think it's reasonable that 9 wins could get you there. Who really knows? But yeah, it's interesting. And then for the Chargers, is this how concerned, scale of 1 to 10, how concerning is this loss?
I'm not really concerned yet if I would be a Chargers fan. I mean, they had 2 really tough games in a row, or honestly, they've had 5 really tough games in a row. When you're looking at Kansas City, Las Vegas, Cleveland, Baltimore, New England, I mean, that's been the who's who of the AFC besides Cleveland up until the last couple seasons for the last, however many years. So going 3-2 in that stretch, I still think is pretty good. They got some winnable games coming up here. Their next 4 are at Philly, home to Minnesota, home to Pittsburgh, and at Denver. I mean, there's a good chance they go 4-0 during that slate. And then they still got winnable games down the road with Houston, Denver again, and the Giants. So overall, I'm not worried. I'm not worried yet for the Chargers, but I do think they need to clean some things up on offense, because when it looked like this passing game was just going to beat everybody, they've kind of been stymied the past 2 games. And is this going to become the roadmap for this season that they're going to have to figure out, is how to beat this defense?
Yeah, I think interesting stuff. Let's move on. Let's go to, how about the overtime game, Titans-Colts. We saw one of the oddest interceptions ever by Carson Wentz, which was fantastic, but he did then lead his team down the field to tie the game. Kyle, what were your thoughts on this one?
Just when we were all ready to believe in Carson Wentz again, we were all ready. I mean, the 2-handed shovel pass from his own end zone, like, I don't know. I think like a child could make that throw and probably do it a little better than what he did. Like, honestly, he was throwing it with 2 hands, and 2 guys around him. Like, who does that? He is an absolute lunatic. That's all I can say about him. He's a complete lunatic out there. I just don't get it why he would go through that and think this is my best solution. I
Yeah. Well,
don't.
I think this is the fair comment. To be fair, it was better than a safety. That is true. I mean, the avoiding the safety was more important because actually, I mean, we saw they got to overtime because he threw a pick that turned into a touchdown. Like that ended up helping out better for them. But yeah, I mean, it was like it was just a bizarre, just broken play altogether.
Yeah, I did see one tweet that was pretty funny that said, I thought he was going to end up with a safety to cost him the game. And then I thought it was going to be a fumble in the end zone that would cost them the game. And it resulted in a pick six that almost cost them the game. But even
Uh-huh.
then, like you said, they go down and get the points um, and tie the game up and then have a chance to win it. And then again, it's triple coverage interception. Um, the last throw was also not a very good throw.
Hmm.
And Titans came out and won. They started terribly in this game. I was watching this game basically the whole morning. They started terribly in this one
Yeah.
and just kind of bounced back. And Tannehill kind of found his groove. AJ Brown really came alive in this one, and they managed to get it done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, yeah, AJ Brown having a really good season, 155 yards for him. So Titans are very good. I think for the Colts, like again, it's tough because I think the Colts are better than their record. But at a certain point, like it's your record that gets you into the into the postseason, right? Like it doesn't matter how good you are. There's no selection committee. Nice thing is, play the Jets on Thursday. Although again, Jets have seemingly do very well against good teams. So we'll see about that. Uh, if we have a super chat as a Titans fan, this makes me happy. Yeah, I mean, Titans are good. And the weird thing too is like Derrick Henry's numbers like these past 2 weeks haven't been spectacular at all. I mean, the guy he had like I think 2.4 yards per carry this game. But again, part of it is just the threat of Derrick Henry does the job.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that there's just so many teams. I feel like this mid-tier AFC right now is just weird, right? Like there are so many teams right now vying for those playoff spots that it's really hard to predict how any of this kind of shakes out. Because obviously we talked about the Patriots and Chargers, 4-4 and 4-3 for the Chargers. Broncos are 4-4, but I don't really think they're very good. Chiefs are 3-4. We'll see if they can bounce back. You got Steelers at 4-3, Bengals at 5-3, Browns at 4-4, Colts at 3-5. It's just like there's just this. It just seems like there's this humongous mid-tier of teams right now in the AFC, and even through 8 weeks, I don't really know how to separate a lot of these teams.
Yeah, it's interesting. The nice thing about the Titans, though, 3 games up on the Colts now. Kind of reminds me a little bit of with that the way that division has gone with the Titans being so far up. Of 2009, Tampa Bay Buccaneers got clinched out of the division race after Week 9. That was not our best season.
No, it feels like they kind of have this division wrapped up now, right? They got the job done here. It doesn't. I don't know what the roadmap. Like, I don't see this Indianapolis team being able to win like 8 in a row to come back.
Yeah, the only way is like if Tennessee collapses. Like Tennessee,
Yeah.
just go 500 the rest of the way. You're good. That's what I think. Let's move on. Let's go here. Let's talk some Mike White. I mean, we were making jokes about what were the Jets doing, not paying attention. I, for one, welcome our Mike White overlord. So Kyle, I
Quarterback
have to say,
controversy?
I'm going to say, I, for one, do not think Mike White is the next Tom Brady.
Really? That's a bold
Yeah,
take.
I know. It unironically is a take. It's unironically not like just like being ridiculous.
Well, there is also a stat I saw that he is the first guy in his first ever NFL start to throw for over 400 yards since Cam Newton. So he's the
Okay,
next
there you
Cam
go.
Newton.
Next Cam Newton. Yeah, there you go. How many rushing
So
touchdowns did he have? Yeah.
I don't know, but he was really good in this game. I mean, he had some disastrous plays too. The first
Hmm.
interception I didn't really think was his fault, but he still had some bad throws in this game. But I mean, when you're 37 of 45 for 405,
Hmm.
there's really nothing you can complain about. That guy's electric. They made some incredible plays. Michael Carter was incredible in this game. I mean, you could just go down the line of every Jets offensive player and said, wow, you were really good this game. Do that some more, because they don't typically do it this often, but they all had really good games in this one.
Yeah. True or false? This is the best game Mike White ever has.
I mean, by default, I'd probably bet true.
Uh huh.
But I mean, this was a really good game. So
Sure. I mean, well, here's my thing about Mike White. So I studied the film because again, a lot of tweets coming at me. Oh my God! Clearly, again, there's a legitimate quarterback controversy with the Jets, which I find so surprising. First off, I'm a believer in if you spend a second overall pick on a quarterback, 2 game sample size should not be enough for you to change your opinion. When I saw Mike White, I saw a lot of good decision making. I thought he got rid of the ball very quickly. I saw some really bad defense by Cincinnati. I did. I thought that this concept worked really well against the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I don't know if the Bengals watch film. I'm not sure if that's something that they do. So that's what I saw. I thought Mike White did a really good job in this game. He played very well, especially for his first start. I also would mention Mike White isn't a rookie. Like I keep hearing this. Mike White's in his 4th season. Like that's also he's making his first start. There is a difference there.
Yeah. I did hear something today that was pretty funny that the Dallas Cowboys cut Cooper Rush or cut Mike White to keep Cooper Rush.
Hey, but Cooper Rush played well too.
Yeah. So pretty odd how that kind of turned out this week of all weeks. You know, I'm not jumping to any crazy conclusions. Like, I don't think Mike White's the future of the Jets. I don't think Mike White is probably going to start as soon as Zach Wilson's healthy. You know, but at least you can say, hey, I feel like we have a serviceable backup quarterback. And maybe, you know, somebody's going to take a flyer on him in the offseason. We'll see what happens. You know, and if he continues to play well, he's definitely going to get a contract in the offseason because we just know with quarterbacks that you're kind of throwing darts with quarterbacks, whether it's the draft or free agency. I mean, Matt Flynn got a contract. So, you know, if he continues to play well, he's going to get a contract, whether it's with the Jets or elsewhere. Let's just see him continue to play well. It was a good game for the Jets. They played well on offense, and this was definitely easily their best offensive performance of the season. Everybody looked good weirdly this week, and I don't think it was a Mike White thing. I just think guys were open and made plays.
Yeah, that's what I saw as well. And listen, I'm willing to say this as well. I think if Zach Wilson's playing, I don't think the Jets offense does as well. I think that's fair to say. My point, though, is that I think that like Mike White, I think you could also make the argument Mike White fits this offense better. I think that's a fair argument. That's a better argument, I would say. I think that this trade Zach and build around Mike White. I mean, this is a legitimate take, Kyle. Like, we're joking about it. This is something people keep saying to me is like they need to trade Zach Wilson and build around Mike White. I'm fully convinced nobody watched this game. I'm 100% convinced everyone is just reading the box score because 90% of Mike White's throws were less than 10 yards down the field. There was a lot of screen passes, a lot of 7-yard passes that went for 20 yards. That was a huge element of this game. And I'm not trying to discredit Mike White because I think he played well, but I do think that he's getting way too much credit. Like, yeah, you could argue the 2 interceptions weren't his fault. He also threw one right to a Cincinnati corner who just forgot how to catch, I guess. Like there was a lot of that stuff. So again, it's a great story, but to me, this is the Taylor Heinicke. This is the Matt Flynn. This is a really good game. But I haven't followed Mike White's career, so I don't know. Maybe he was actually great in college. I don't know. But this game has not made me think, oh, Mike White is an incredible player.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not jumping to any of that. Like I said, if he continues to play well, he's going to get the contract and the opportunity, whether it's with the Jets or somebody else. More likely somebody else because they invested so much in Zach Wilson. But he played well in this game, so you give him credit for that. He made the right throws when he had to. I'm not too worried about the Bengals just going to the other side quickly just because.
Oh, I'm worried about them. They're dead. Stick a fork in them.
We praised the Titans, though, like just 2 seconds ago, and they lost to this Jets team too. So, I mean, I still think that the defense had played better before this week, and the offense obviously didn't make as many mistakes too. I mean, I guess you're on 2 sides of this, though, aren't you? You had the Zach Wilson take, and you also had the Bengals take. So now you have one side winning and the other side losing right now. But
and no one says, hey, you know what, Jackson, you were right. Maybe we overhyped the Bengals after they beat the Ravens. No one says that. It's all, hey, you idiot. You think Jack Wilson is good. He just got outplayed by Mike White, who is the next Tom Brady, even though that's not clearly the case.
Yeah. I mean, I still think that they can make the playoffs. But I think that, all the expectations of this team, because I think going into this week by tiebreakers, they were the 1 seed. This clearly isn't going to be the 1 seed in the AFC.
Here's my thing is the Jets did exactly what they've done for the first 6 weeks. Like, their concepts were the exact same. Every team has been all over it. And the Jets were like, what is this sorcery? What are you doing? How can you pull off this kind of stuff? Like, and then the Jets are just getting guys wide open. Like, I just don't understand why they thought, hey, let's play cover 3 all game. This will work. Or cover 2 all game. That's the way to beat this system. I just, it's baffling to me. I think the Bengals had, I'm going to put the stamp in it, worst game plan of the season so far, Bengals defense.
Interesting. And we saw the Bears against the Browns.
Yeah, okay. One of the worst. Top 5.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a good look. So I guess you can definitely say that. It's not a good look to lose to the Jets, especially like this. But how about them Jets? 2 big wins. 2 wins.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Well, here's one thing I'll also say is we're talking about the Zach Wilson of it all, and it might be a long show here because we're 36 minutes in. But the Zach Wilson of it all, I think this could at least be a good lesson for Wilson to kind of say, hey, get rid of the ball quicker. Like this is why you get rid of the ball quicker, why you make your decisions quicker. Good things happen when you get the ball out of your hands quicker.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was always kind of the thing with Zach is that, he tries to make the home run play, it seems like a lot. And it seemed like he was trying to translate that to the NFL. And I think he's learning quickly that he can't. And so, yeah, like you said, sometimes you got to take the easy play. And Mike White took a lot of easy plays and they had big opportunities for him.
Yeah, I like this take. Mike White greater than Dan Marino. I agree. I think that's fair. Also, I keep reading Mike White as White Mike, which is not great.
He's the white Michael Jordan.
There you go. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's go to Steelers at Browns here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are now 4-3. Weirdly, ahead. They lead the Cleveland Browns. At least they have a better record than the Browns. This was an odd game. I still don't fully understand exactly what happened here. We've seen Ben Roethlisberger, who refuses to throw the ball more than 3 yards down the field. And despite this, the Steelers have somehow found a way to defeat the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. So was this good defense or bad offense? Honestly.
It was weird because I felt like it was like weird. Like I want to watch like all 22 or stuff because like it didn't seem like the Cleveland Browns were that bad offensively. And I was looking like, okay, maybe were they just bad on third downs? Like they were 3 for 10 on third downs. The Steelers were 4 for 13. Maybe you could point to the Browns being 0 for 2 on fourth downs, but the Steelers didn't convert on multiple fourth downs as well, including the fake field goal that probably should have been ruled roughing the passer. So like that probably should have given them a first down. I really don't know. It was just an odd. I mean, it was definitely good defense. The question is, was it also bad offense? And I think like there was a couple of plays, like Odell Beckham Jr. was open and like him and Mayfield couldn't connect on like a big play down the field. Like there was just the Browns are just a weird team. I don't know what to make of them.
They're inconsistent. Not only on, I mean, we knew there were some inconsistencies with the offense, but the problem is that we've seen this defense at times look like the best defense in football. And we've also seen this defense look sloppy and make mistakes. And I don't really know what we're getting week to week with this team on either side of the ball anymore. So when you have those two situations, I just don't know really what to think about this team anymore. I guess I'm going to throw this to you because, I mean, we were both high on the Browns. I like the Browns since the Stefanski hiring. I said that was a great hire. It worked out last year. I said this team was going to be really good again this year. You went to Super Bowl, and I had them, I think, AFC Championship game, if not, one of the top seeds. So we both were high on this team. Do you think this team's still a Super Bowl contender right now?
If they're playing like this, no. One thing I've seen is like Mayfield's playing scared. Mayfield is not playing, and he wasn't to blame for this loss, but that is definitely a thing which I felt like he was going to be like at least a solid quarterback. And like there's times when like guys are open and he's just like holding on to the football as opposed to just throwing the football. It's like you do have to at a certain point get rid of the football. Like there was several sacks in this game that I feel like he took that he didn't have to take. So like that is an aspect of this. The Odell Beckham thing, like I said, kind of weird. And also, I mean, listen, Jarvis Landry fumbled the ball deep in Steelers territory. He doesn't do that. And then also dropped the pass on, I believe it was 4th down. He doesn't do that stuff. Landry plays a typical Jarvis Landry game. The Browns do probably win this game. So I don't know. The Browns are a team loaded with talent. We have, but that's the thing is football games aren't won on paper. You have to put it all together, and they've yet to really do that. At this point, one game away from being past halfway through the season.
Yeah. It's definitely not where they envision being 500 right now at this point in the year and losing to this team based on what we've seen so far from the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I definitely think that's frustrating. Is this the last time we ever see a field goal kicker throw a pass? Because you saw Pittsburgh basically stuck in a situation where they didn't have a kicker for the rest of the game because they had this play where he gets knocked out and concussed. Do we ever see this play ever happen again at this point?
Yeah. I think, it's weird because I love the situation of when a kicker is injured and like a team has to go for it every time. But I also like you can't really root for that because that results in like rooting for someone getting injured. So you have to like not do it. But I do love the situation of like a team having to go for 2 every time and stuff like that. I don't think so, but I think that there's probably going to be like a bit of like, hey, don't take a hit on this play. Like I think that's going to come into play.
Yeah. Obviously it's not what you want. And obviously it just seems like, I think the problem is that a lot of kickers don't really, they're trying their best,
Right.
It's not like they're prepared for the situation, prepared for taking a hit.
I think that like part of it too is we kind of forget like, oh yeah, these people are like basically like, they're the greatest athletes on earth. Like they're absolutely insane. They're like, I'm pretty sure anyone in the NFL could like murder me with their bare hands, like easily, like not even have to try about it. It would be like opening like a can of soda or something.
Well, Mike White could murder you with a football. Did you see him out there today?
Exactly. I also think, this comment of, I think this talking about Baker Mayfield, I think he's playing scared because of his shoulder. Well, my argument to that is like, well, then don't put him in the game.
Yeah. I mean, if he's that hurt that it's infecting like his ability to process, he doesn't want to take a hit on it or anything like that, then he shouldn't play. Case Keenum should play. Or they should find somebody who they think can play, because I think that it's I think it's a problem. He hasn't played well this season. It's been honest, and it seems harsh to criticize him based off the injury, but at the same time, he's going out there and playing, and this is a team that had Super Bowl aspirations, so they can't really afford for him to be bad.
Yeah. The flip side, how do we feel about the Steelers? Because they're 4-3 right now, and I'm still like, they suck. Like I still think that they suck, even though like their record is good. Like they play Chicago and then the Lions. Like, are they about to be like 6-3? And I'm still gonna be like, yeah, they're garbage. Like probably.
I mean, with Mike Tomlin, this team's probably gonna go 9-8 because he's a brilliant coach. But I'm gonna feel less confident about this team going 9-8 than probably any team in football. This is basically just going to turn into last year's version of Chicago. That is like this disgust, except they have a great coach rather than Matt Nagy. It's just like the coach. Basically, there's not a.
Could this be this year's version of last year's Steelers?
I mean, honestly, yeah, that's probably better, more apt. But yeah, so I don't think it's a great team, but they have an incredible coach. They have a good defense that makes plays. They're getting turnovers, and they're winning football games, and they're probably going to win a couple more, like you said, with those opponents coming up.
Yeah, and also like the Browns cover 2 zone that like they like to play on defense. Like Ben Roethlisberger was like, "Yes, I get to throw checkdowns all night long. This is fantastic. This is great news for me."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can move on if you want.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing else. We'll see what happens with the Steelers team. They're going to have a really dumb loss too, and then we're going to be like, "Haha, I told you the Steelers stink." But if this team lost to the Lions, I'd be like, well, the Steelers stink, and then they'd still end up going 9-8 somehow.
Yeah, Luke Brown says, who is going to be the Steelers quarterback next year? Zach Wilson, right?
Or Mike White. I mean,
yeah, whoever they decide.
They'll give a $120 million contract fully guaranteed to Mike White at this point.
All right, let's move on. Let's go. Let's talk 49ers Bears. In my head, even when I was writing this down, I'm like, oh yeah, the 49ers won this. Like it felt like a loss for San Francisco, even though they ended up pulling out the victory. I think the highlight of this game was the
Oh,
Yeah, well, I was going to say the Justin Fields 4th down and 1, which was one of the coolest plays we've seen all season. Fields' running game, he kind of finally used that, which is like, yeah, that's what you have to like. Justin Fields using the running game. I've kind of said if I'm wrong about Fields, it's going to be because of his running game. Like the running game is like that's the X factor that he has, and like he had one of those plays where it's just like, okay, that was incredible. So Fields maybe still has some consistency issues, but at least if you're getting the splash plays, you feel a lot better about Fields, especially coming off a rough week.
It is certainly not lost on me that Justin Fields had one of his better weeks in better running weeks without Matt Nagy on the sidelines.
Uh-huh.
I just got to start with that.
Yeah.
I thought he was good in this game. I thought he was good. The only problem is that Jimmy Garoppolo was better because Jimmy Garoppolo was phenomenal in this game. He was really good in this game. He attacked this Bears secondary that we said is suspect. It's been suspect all year. He went at them. He threw the ball downfield to Deebo Samuel. He threw the ball to Brandon Ayuk. He threw the ball to Mohamed Sanu. He hit all these guys. He did really well in this game. He was electric. He had a fantastic game. Elijah Mitchell had a great game. And yeah, that's why the 49ers won, because the Bears offense actually played pretty well. The 49ers offense was just better.
Yeah. Also, is it Eli Mitchell or Elijah Mitchell? Because on Google it says Eli, but I believe, yeah, I've heard him being called Elijah. One of those.
I haven't seen Elijah.
Yeah, I mean, Google's been weird about some of that stuff. I remember, like, I think that Scotty Miller was Scott Miller. Sometimes they have weird stuff there. But yeah, I mean, to me, the biggest, like, part of me wonders, was Garoppolo good, or did the 49ers just average, did Elijah Mitchell average 7.6 yards per carry, and then Deebo Samuel caught the couple of bombs he threw up there?
I mean, there was some plays downfield to the other guys too, so I give him credit for that. I mean, I think that's been kind of one of the underrated storylines of this season is we've talked about there are so many wide receivers in the NFL that making a top 10 list or whatever seems impossible nowadays.
Yeah.
But we've talked about a bunch of these different receivers taking leaps. Deebo Samuel has taken a legitimate leap into the upper tier, I feel like. And this was another game where he completely dominated. He's been lights out this year, and he continued to show it again in this game.
Yeah, I agree. Again, you look at the yards per play difference, it was drastic. I mean, San Francisco, 8.6 yards per play to Chicago's 4.8. A big part of that is because San Francisco had those explosives, and that's kind of something Chicago didn't have a ton of. So that was definitely an issue. And, even Khalil Herbert didn't have his best game. So, I liked what I saw from Fields. I predicted the Bears to win this game, and I was all ready to be like, hey, look at me. Look at that great prediction. But then the fourth quarter happened, and San Francisco ran away with it. So good win for them. I mean, they needed this one.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely did. You're right. I mean, this was kind of must win for San Francisco. They went out and got the job done. How do you feel about the Bears after this game, I guess?
Bad. I think this was their best matchup possible, and they got torched on their defense. I think the Bears, as long as you game plan right for the Bears, you're not going to have an issue. But hey, some teams aren't going to game plan right. We have incredible Monday Night Football game next week. Bears Steelers. This should be electric.
Gosh. I will not watch it.
Yeah, not the only primetime game. Chicago has multiple primetime games left this season.
I can't wait. My favorite team in football, the Chicago Bears.
They really are the worst team to watch, right? At least with Fields, though, there's at least intrigue there.
I've been telling this to you since like July 2020.
Yeah, you've been on this. You were very much correct also to see that. Hashtag fire Nagy. Yeah, because I think I also should be mentioned, firing Nagy is not the only thing that's going to fix this Bears team.
Yeah, I mean, they need a whole new secondary. They need wide receivers. They need a lot.
Yeah. And also, they do need to fire Nagy.
Yeah, I mean, that too. It's not quite like Detroit where they need 19 starters, but it's pretty close.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to Detroit. All right, Kyle. Defend Dan Campbell this time.
Great goatee from that guy. That's what I got to say. I mean,
okay.
They got dominated. They really did. I had this one off pretty early. They really, I mean, I don't really have a lot to say about it. They were bad. I didn't think Jared Goff was good, but like you said, a lot of it's not really his fault because the team he has is just atrocious. Everyone besides TJ Hawkinson sucked. I mean, that's as simple as what it was. That's my analysis.
Isn't that most Lions games though?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts threw the ball 14 times, had 103 passing yards, and they put up 44. I mean, that kind of goes to show really, I mean, this Lions offense could get nothing going. Weird decision by Dan Campbell to they were at Philadelphia's 20-yard line or their 21-yard line, 4th down and 1, 13 seconds left in the half. They go for it and don't get it. Like, what were you trying to accomplish there? What was the goal in this? So you could get it and then kick a field goal from 2 yards closer. I don't know what the exact plan was there. Yeah, Dan Campbell has been my arch nemesis. I think the Lions are not a good team, and they continue to prove it week after week. Lions are officially in 0-17 watch at this point.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, the most startling thing about this, as I continue to look at the numbers, is we complain basically, or I've complained basically all year that the Eagles don't use their running backs. Their running backs got 37 carries in this game, and Miles Sanders didn't play. Boston Scott, Jordan Howard, and Kenneth Gainwell got the carries. 37 carries from the running backs when it seemed like they were averaging like 9 from the running backs before this.
Yeah, a good win for Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia has proven, okay, they're not a great team, but at least they're like a competent team, I think it's fair to say.
I think they got good pieces at least. You know, they're going to beat
they're
up on
closer than a lot of teams.
Yeah, they're going to beat up on teams like this, but they're not going to beat a lot of good teams.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Do you have any final thoughts in this game, or do you want to just move on?
We can move on. We touched on it enough.
Yeah, probably too much. Let's talk the Thursday night game. How about Kyle, one of the all-time Thursday night football games, I think. I mean, this was just complete insanity broke out. The final play where AJ Green, I still don't know what he was doing there. I've tried to look it up. I cannot figure it out. He was sort of blocking instead of trying to look around for the route. I thought that this was kind of a masterclass in coaching on both sides. I thought both sides did really well. There were a couple game management decisions, like a play call here or there, but for the most part, I thought the schematics, Green Bay's defense really shut down Kyler Murray with scheme, but then Cliff Kingsbury figured it out. Meanwhile, Matt LaFleur did a great job of just sort of sticking to the run and making that work. Both star receivers were hurt in this game, even though Hopkins was still the Cardinals' leading receiver. Just a wild game.
Yeah, and it was a really good game for the Packers because this was kind of what we talked about beforehand when we said, is this team going to win this game? Well, they got to kind of commit to the run and kind of pound this game and make it a little bit ugly. Aaron Rodgers just trying to have like as many good games as possible where the numbers don't look good at all. He was really good in this game despite the numbers not looking good at all, but he trusted his running game. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones both had good games. It was impressive from the Packers. This was an impressive win. Being able to go out and get it like this with this team, we want to see this team win in a variety of different ways, and this was just another game where they found a way to win against a really good team that was undefeated.
Yeah, I still feel like, again, we do if these teams play each other 101 times, I think the Cardinals win like 70 times. Like, I think that the Cardinals were clearly on this night, they were the better team because of the injuries for Green Bay. But hey, Green Bay, they maximized the amount of, stuff was going to come down to luck, and that's what you got to do.
Given these circumstances, they definitely deserved it, or Arizona would have won this game. Out of the 100 times. But with Devontae Adams, with Devontae Adams back, we'll see what happens. But the Packers look pretty good in this game. I guess my question to you is Matt LaFleur ever going to get his credit?
No.
33-7. Like, he's unreal how good he is. How good he is as a coach. But, Aaron Rodgers is getting all the credit. He's 33-7 as a coach. He probably should win Coach of the Year one of these years. But I don't think he's going to get it.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I'm obviously having Aaron Rodgers helps. Like, there's no denying, like, having an elite quarterback is going to help you. But it is worth mentioning, like, the Packers won 6 games before he got here. Like, they weren't some juggernaut that he just took over.
Yeah, no, he really came into this game, team, and I think he's done a really good job with the program. I mean, I think he's done good with the organization.
He's incredible. I mean, it's like him or Sean Payton, I think, are like maybe Sean McVay as well, of like the premier offensive play callers in football. I'd rather have LaFleur than Kyle Shanahan. Like, I think LaFleur is really good.
I think I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one's
at least in terms of head coach,
500. So
Well, that's true. Yeah, I was thinking at least in terms of head coach, offensive coordinator might be a different conversation. But yeah, for the Cardinals, I think not concerning at all. I actually was really impressed with Kyler Murray. I know his numbers weren't like spectacular, but the way that he kind of accepted, okay, like Kyler Murray did what Mahomes has still not figured out how to do, which is when teams play cover two, figure out how to take the underneath stuff.
Yeah, Baby Yoda was awesome in this game. I thought he was really good. The interception obviously wasn't his fault.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just unfortunate. That's kind of how it ended for him with that stupid pick. Yeah, he was really good though. I agree. I'm
Yeah,
not worried about
one of the all-time blunders by AJ Green too.
Yeah, I didn't know what the situation was. It seemed like that he was supposed to just break off the route and he didn't. I didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, I heard like Cliff Kingsbury, which is like, oh yeah, they weren't on the same page. Like that's all he said. It's like I don't know what like the page was supposed to be because like it looked like AJ Green was blocking, but like why would you be blocking with 15 seconds left and no timeouts? Like why would there be a running play there? I have no idea. We'll never know. When I die and go to heaven, that's my one question I'll ask God.
That's the one.
Maybe why was Malcolm Butler benched in Super Bowl 52?
That seems like a better answer than, hey, AJ Green, what route did you run?
When I'm in heaven, everyone's gonna know like who shot JFK and everything. Everyone's gonna have already asked those questions. You got to ask like the mid-tier questions.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's fair. I mean, I've already said that, you could come up with a bunch of different reasons to use a time machine. I'd probably like build a time machine to have LeBron play Jordan in their prime.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, what are we really going to accomplish? Let's just have some fun.
Yeah.
Let's move on. So not a ton of great games left. This is probably the one most interesting. The Panthers at Falcons. I was thinking about this. So we have like the Falcons. Let's say this. So we have the Panthers. We have the Broncos, and there's another team I was thinking of. This kind of we got Panthers, Broncos, Steelers. Kind of three teams that maybe have a better record than we expected them to have, and maybe better than the record shows. Which team do you feel most confident in actually like making the playoffs? Panthers, Broncos, or Steelers?
Making the playoffs?
Yeah. Or being like a playoff caliber team.
Yeah, I mean, I think the advantage of the AFC would probably lean towards Pittsburgh because there's just too many good NFC teams right now.
Yeah.
I think that's the only reason why I would say that. But I think if you ask me who the best team was, I'd probably say Carolina just because I know that defense is good. I don't really know what's good besides TJ Watt for the Steelers and that front seven. And I don't really know what's good for the Broncos. Yeah, I mean, I know the Panthers are at least good at something. So I'd probably take them of the other two teams. But I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs just because the NFC is so tough.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I think, for the Falcons' perspective, Matt Ryan's stat line, not great. 146 yards for 27 attempts. Like, that's not good.
He's not good.
No. And Ryan's had kind of like a very up and down season so far. Like, he's had some really good weeks. He's had some not so good weeks. So, again, kind of hard to get your opinion on it. Part of me does feel like, it's unfortunate, the Calvin Ridley situation, how he's going to sit out. I definitely support him, like do what you got to do, but it definitely sucks to not be able to watch Calvin Ridley on our TV screens. And I think that hurts the Falcons for sure. The flip side is I feel like, Sam Darnold had 66 rushing yards. Like they need to keep making that more of a part of their offense. They need to keep Sam Darnold rushing the football. The more Sam Darnold runs, the better the Panthers offense is, especially when McCaffrey is out.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why anyone would want to see him throw the ball.
Yeah,
that's a little mean, but at the same time, like
not inaccurate though.
Yeah, I mean, this team runs the ball pretty well, and you look down the list, like you're going through it. I know, obviously, you want McCaffrey out there because McCaffrey's elite, but Hubbard churned out some yards. It wasn't the best day yards per carry wise, but I thought he churned out some yards. Amir Abdullah had some yards. Royce Freeman got things going. You have three pretty good running backs there, three serviceable running backs. And you have Darnold who can run. So that should probably just become their identity. Just go full option. No, I'm just kidding.
I think they should though. I think they should. I think that should be a part of their game. I think they should view it sort of like how the Eagles view like Jalen Hurts. Like Darnold can move. Use that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think he's a really good running talent. So I think that would be a big thing. we'll see what happens with this team going forward. But yeah, I mean, I think they should continue, and I think they will continue to run the ball because it clearly worked in this game and it got the job done. And Matt Rule, I think at his core is a defensive guy, and this defense is pretty good. It made some big plays in this game to get them in a win. So if they're able to do that and run the ball well, they're going to win some games still.
Yeah, we have some interesting comments in the chat. We have Darnold got concussed, then Darnold got whacked, then Darnold got smacked, and then finally Darnold got wrecked. So our commenters, interesting conversations happening here.
He got wiggity whacked. Stephon
Right.
Gilmore was really good in this game, as Alec says. Gilmore was good. He came up with the interception.
Hey, former Patriots do great on NFC South teams.
Yeah, having elite cornerbacks helps. Breaking news, just so everybody knows.
Yeah, that tends to do well. I'm sure Falcons fans have to be saying, "What are you doing to us, Patriots? You already came back from down 28-3. You give Tom Brady to the Buccaneers. You give Gilmore to the Falcons. Leave us alone, Patriots. What have we ever done to you?"
Poor Atlanta. And you could have clinched the World Series today, but maybe next week.
Hey, the prophecy of Trevor Plouffe, Braves in 6. It can still happen.
That's true. So they got that opportunity, but hey, I don't really know what to think of this team. I thought the Falcons were going to be better than the Panthers. They didn't look better, and like you said, I think some of it does play into obviously you're hoping Calvin Ridley's healthy and ready to play down the line whenever he feels ready. I do think losing him at the last second's got to hurt, though.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, Panthers are kind of one of those. In honor of Halloween, maybe a spooky team. Could be scary next year, kind of thing.
Oh, I agree.
Or even later this year.
I think next year for sure. I mean, this was the kind of what I was saying with the whole situation with our NFC South preseason pod. Is I said this team feels like a year away still. And I still kind of think they're a year away. I think this team's going to be really good. That owner, the new owner, really wants to spend money. And I really think they're going to be chasing every big name quarterback this offseason. And
please
if they got it.
Rodgers, don't do it. Aaron Rodgers, stay away.
If they add a high level quarterback to this team's going to be really, really good. I mean, yeah, I think that's probably puts them in Super Bowl contention because this is kind of roster that, like, you looked at Tom Brady looking at that roster and building that. If you can get an elite quarterback to this team, I think this team's pretty close to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. So we got 4 games left. None too interesting. I guess we'll go with the closest one. Balls at Broncos. So the Washington football team did not win this game. The Broncos did. Kyle, your thoughts on the game?
Those are my thoughts too.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on now. So we got the let's go Rams at no. We will still talk some balls at Broncos. I mean, listen, Denver's another team. They are 4-4. Like, again, the record is still the record, regardless of how they got there. So you have that going for you. This is a bounce back win for Denver. I know that a lot of us don't have too high hopes for the Broncos, but you did hold an NFL football team to 10 points. Their defense has been kind of getting torched these past few weeks. A good win for them. Sure, it's Washington, whatever. At least you got the job done and looked well on defense as well.
This was kind of must win for them, right? Like,
yeah,
they needed, after losing 4 in a row or whatever it was, you can't like drop to this team. This Balls team is just putrid. And I say that with the biggest disdain because A, Dan Snyder sucks, and B, we were all high on this team. We were both high on this team in the preseason. We both felt like this was a division winner. We both felt like this had really good pieces. And this team is just embarrassing to watch. I don't like anything about it. I know we thought Ryan Fitzpatrick would be here, but Ryan Fitzpatrick doesn't get this team any more than maybe another win. Right. I just don't think this is a good football team. This team is atrocious. This team is bad. This team should be tanking at this point. It feels like this team is just awful. And the Broncos did what they had to do coming into this game. They made some good plays. Good seeing Jerry Jeudy back on the field. I don't know if they're good going forward, but they beat a team that's bad, and they did what they had to do.
Yeah, there was almost an all-time blunder of the fumble running out the clock by Melvin Gordon that could have led to a potential game-tying Washington football team touchdown with 45 seconds left. The fumbles, which almost gave Washington a chance, didn't end up happening anyways. But that was the most exciting thing about this game.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. Taylor Heinicke just continues to show he's not the answer.
No. And again, like this is the kind of thing everyone goes crazy about, like Mike White, but it's like more often than not, you have a Taylor Heinicke or a Matt Flynn. Davis Mills currently has the best game by a rookie quarterback this year than anyone else. So like this stuff does happen. I still like that, keep Taylor Heinicke, give him a chance, but Ryan Fitzpatrick would have been better, even with, they have Tom Brady. They're not doing much with this team.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I know there's luck involved with football, but they had that stupid J.D. McKissick touchdown and a defensive tackle for the Giants going offside on a field goal. Otherwise, this team's 0-8, and it's a pretty putrid 0-8.
Yeah. Also, Washington, get better. Like, why do you keep getting your field goals blocked? What are we?
Did you see
doing?
The one kick? He kicked it off his offensive line's helmet.
Oh, I didn't see that. No.
Yeah. There was they showed it in slow-mo. He line drived it off his offensive lineman.
Yeah. Chris blew it. More like Chris screwed up.
Got him.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's the new nickname for Chris Blewett.
Chris screwed up. I like it.
Yes.
We can move on.
No, I think we should spend 4 more hours on this. This comment, Chase Young has been disappointing. Fun fact, Chase Young, more pressures per game this year than last year.
When
you can't cover, you look worse. That's the life of an edge rusher. If
linebackers are leaving everybody open, a quarterback's going to need less than 2 seconds to throw the ball. It's that simple. If guys are wide open off the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, part of it too was he converted a lot of his pressures into sacks last year. Like I kind of said, I thought he was overrated last year in terms of his current talent. I think Chase Young will be fine in the future. But let's move on. 3 games left. Let's go Rams Texans. Texans with a great. Hey, what did I say? Texans would cover. I nailed it.
What was it? 17.5?
Yeah. Ends up being a 38-22 game, a 16-point lead. Listen, the Rams ran all over the Texans.
The 22-point fourth quarter is killer. That's hilarious.
It's an all-time backdoor cover.
Yeah, is Brandon Cooks going to get traded before Tuesday? I guess that's the one question.
Well, because the thing about Cooks, right, it's like he said he would retire if he ever got traded, which is like, why are you like demanding to play for Houston? Like, why are you the one guy who's like, no, this is the place to be?
This is my home.
Right. Which I guess, I don't know, maybe he just likes the area, but that was my conspiracy theory. I can't remember if I brought it up on the podcast, which was when they traded away Mark Ingram and Brandon Cooks was unhappy about it. My conspiracy theory was that the reason they traded it was they wanted Cooks to be unhappy, so that way he'd agree to a trade.
Well, he's welcome back in New England. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think he'd be welcome in a lot of places.
Yeah, so, I think that's the one question you basically have for Houston is who's still getting sold off on this team. Because I think there's guys that they can get rid of still. This team doesn't want to be good. Rams look good for 3 quarters, though.
The Rams are good. I think Stafford's numbers aren't really like how he's playing. Like his numbers are better than how he's playing, but he's still playing well. At what point do we start talking about Cooper Kupp as Cooper Kupp is having like the greatest season ever. The guy's got 924 yards already. Like he might get a 2,000-yard season.
Yeah, he's pushing like Calvin Johnson numbers at this point, which is just insane to see. Coincidentally with Matthew Stafford too.
There you go.
So it's pretty crazy to see this happen. I knew at one point he was on pace to pass Randy Moss's touchdown record. Doesn't seem like that's going to happen though, unless he has a couple 3 touchdown days. But pretty crazy that he is really good. Where would you rank him in wide receivers right now?
Top 10.
Top 10.
That's what everyone's top 10, right?
Everyone's top 10.
I don't know. It's hard. Again, I do think a lot of it is the scheme. I think that helps. There's no denying that. But he's playing really well on top of it. Stafford's playing really well on top of it. The Rams are just kind of quietly just continuing to win games. And they're, a good bounce back win, I think, for them after kind of a rough game against the Lions where they won, but it was kind of a little bit weird. Just blow them out. And Davis Mills, 310 yards. Good for him. Clearly a great performance by Mills.
That neck, man, just keeps happening. Sees over the offensive line well, peek over.
Sure. There you go.
Good fourth quarter. He got things done.
Yeah, there you go. Great. Kind of similar to like, could we see a Blake Bortles-esque run with Mills of just sort of like becoming a good fantasy quarterback due to throwing the game away for the first 3 quarters, so that way he can, in garbage time, get up a bunch of empty calorie yards.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, hey, I for one welcome a new Blake Bortles entering the league. Let's move on. We'll go Mammals at Bills here. Dolphins at Bills. Bills kind of took a while to kind of really pull away. They did this last time they played the Dolphins, but Dolphins aren't good. Tua, I thought, had some good throws in this one, despite his numbers not being very good. Still not like an amazing performance from Tua. Again, Dolphins defense has done a good job against this Bills offense, but that's pretty much all we can really say.
Yeah, I mean, the Tua stuff is just like, he had some, like that whole stretch that led to the interception. The play before, he had this goofy fumble. Right before it, they managed to recover, and then it was like the next play he threw an interception, and it wasn't a good interception either. And it's just like, it just seems like whenever this guy gets some momentum, it gets derailed. And I don't know, like, because this wasn't a thing he had in college, like a Winston situation. It's just going to be like just his future where he just like, oh, he'll have a few nice moments, but his 5 worst throws are going to be the 5 worst throws of the week. It just seems like that's going to be who he is.
Yeah. That's the thing about Tua. It's like, for Tua, if you want to be this elite game manager, which is what we thought he could be, right? The comparison was Drew Brees, right? Not the biggest arm, but can just be this game manager type at a high level. Well, you can't turn the ball over. And he's had Tua turned the ball over as his nickname. We all kind of thought like, that's not a fair nickname. It's been a fair nickname in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, it really has. And, I didn't think the Bills would blow the Dolphins out just because it's really hard to win, like embarrass a team 2 times in a row in a season in professional football. But at the same time, they kind of got it together. I thought they looked really sloppy to start the game. They kind of figured some things out. I didn't love some of the hits Josh Allen took in this game, but he still had a pretty good game. Cole Beasley was obviously fantastic in this one. And, hey, they got it done and got the win.
Yeah. Luke Brown, our resident Dolphins fan, says Tua played fine, in my opinion. The INT didn't matter. The game was already over. I think I agree with that for the most part. Like, I think Tua wasn't the problem. But again, the question is less about is Tua the problem and more about is he the solution? And I think Tua could be good given a perfect situation. Like, again, he goes to New Orleans. I keep saying, like, he would be good there. But I think he needs to be in the right situation. And this is certainly not the right situation in Miami.
You think he'd be good in New Orleans with those receivers right now?
I think he'd be good with Sean Payton.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, obviously, the dream scenario is like Tampa Bay or like Dallas, but like in terms of a team that needs a quarterback who, like, I think that's probably the best option.
Every quarterback should want to go to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're like Dallas. Like, there's a few. Let's move on. Final game: Jaguars at Seahawks. I picked the Seahawks in our pregame show, and then I changed my mind to the Jaguars. I don't know what I'm talking about. No one should ever listen to me.
I was on it too. I'm pretty sure I talked you into it. I was feeling good after that last Jaguars pick. I was like, they're going to come back and do this. And then James Robinson got hurt. It kind of got derailed. And credit to the Seahawks. Geno Smith was pretty good in this game. As he should be against the Jaguars defense. They did a good job.
Yeah, I think the real lesson here is like, oh yeah, the Jaguars defense is really bad. I think that's what we learned here.
Yeah, atrociously bad. And it's definitely not getting better. Tyler Lockett destroyed them. I mean, honestly, 12 catches on 13 targets for 142 yards.
He had 12 catches. Geno Smith threw the ball 24 times. Half of Geno Smith's throws were caught by Tyler Lockett.
I mean, Geno started this game like 14 for 14. Like, I mean, the numbers on it are just so weird. I mean, it was over before it even started. This Jaguars team needs a lot of players on the defense.
Yeah, and one thing with them as well is like, so Trevor Lawrence ends up going 32 for 54 for just 238 yards. So not good efficiency at all. Sub 5 yards per attempt in the Blaine Gabbert zone. I think a big part of this, like you said, James Robinson stuff, which, Robinson's a big piece of this team. Like, Robinson is like the best part of the Jaguars right now. Obviously Lawrence for the future, but for right now, it's Robinson, in my opinion. And so losing that hurts. And also part of it too is like these zone defenses, we kind of always say like, okay, these good quarterbacks can pick it apart, but kind of rookie quarterbacks sometimes struggle with it because they still haven't gotten the right feel for what's an open window and what isn't. And that happened a little bit for Lawrence. Again, you're going to see ups and downs. He's a rookie quarterback. You hope for some positives, and that's what we saw with Lawrence. And so I think sort of similar to how I felt about Fields in his game of like you saw some flashes, you saw some not great plays. I think Fields was a little better, but kind of similar idea.
Yeah, and I still think Lawrence has had some good weeks too, so you feel good about that. Yeah, so I mean, I just think the Jaguars are bad, and I keep going back to this, but it's just like I know you want to be bad and you want to tank and you want high draft picks, but would it really killed you to keep Ronnie Harrison on this team?
Yeah, right.
Like, I just can't get over like some of these trades they made, and just
Hey, that 6th-round pick.
We don't want anybody in our defense. Literally nobody.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for Jacksonville. Again, they also, they got a lot of young corners, but then they trade away CJ Henderson, stuff like that. So it's interesting. Also, like the whole tanking thing. I mean, you go back to the first overall picks that have won Super Bowls. I believe the most recent one is Eric Fisher, who did that. And I believe, if I remember correctly, before that, you have to go to Peyton Manning. And then before that, you go to Drew Bledsoe, who was the backup for Tom Brady during the Super Bowl. So like first overall picks. And, so really only one of those was the reason they won that Super Bowl. Like, it matters. Lawrence, obviously, like, that's going to help your team out a lot if he does pan out. But, like, you got to do the other stuff, too. Another high pick is only going to get you so far.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, do you think there's some life in Seattle, or do you just feel like they played the Jaguars?
I think there's some life. I think this is a good win for them. I think that, again, they play Green Bay, which we should say, like, okay, obviously Green Bay is going to win. Seattle's Candyland. Seattle is Narnia. Like nothing normal happens with Seattle. It's going to be a weird game. It's going to be something that doesn't happen. It's Seattle Green Bay. Have we ever seen these two teams play a normal game against each other?
No, we have not.
Yeah. It's going to come down to some weird like fake field goal that gets returned for a touchdown, and then they go for 2, and then that gets returned for a pick 2. Like that's how this game is going to end.
Yeah. I will say one more point on this game itself. I thought it was a pretty good bounce back game for Jamal Adams. He's still not really a coverage guy, and I know he's getting a lot of heat for that. I thought he played pretty well in this game. Just another point on them. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what I think of Seattle going forward, but it did feel like they kind of had to win this to like give themselves some optimism, and maybe if like the timetable is right, while Russell Wilson comes back and really helps this team recover.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like, that's the hope is. There's still kind of that 7th spot in the NFC is very much up for grabs. You find a way to, just stay afloat. You win a couple games, maybe you shouldn't. That's how without Russell Wilson, they still have some very winnable games on the schedule. They still play Washington. They play San Francisco. They play Houston. They play Chicago. So there's some winnable games. There's some losable games, but they play Detroit as well. So I don't think the Seahawks are dead in the water necessarily. Although I definitely, they got an uphill climb.
Yeah, I think so too. I guess, it's interesting to watch this playoff race kind of shake out because there's just so many teams I have no idea about. Because you look at it and it's like you're probably thinking Dallas, obviously. You're thinking Green Bay is obviously going to win. Tampa's probably still going to take that division. LA or Arizona is going to take that division. Then you got New Orleans and Los Angeles. And then it's basically San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina, Atlanta, Minnesota, Chicago. And I mean, hell, I'd be okay with throwing the Eagles in that conversation too. I think all of those teams can hit the 7 seed.
Yeah, I think that's certainly possible. Honestly, and even like who's going to win in the NFC, right? You have Dallas, Arizona, the Rams, and the Packers, all who just have 1 loss. Not to mention the Buccaneers, the reigning champs, who have 2 losses. So like, it's really a wide open race, and even in the AFC with the Titans, the Ravens, the Raiders, and the Bills, all 4 division leaders who only have 2 losses. Like, who knows what's going to happen this year? If the Chiefs, who are the 4th place Chiefs, they could end up winning it all. One of the more wide open seasons we've had in quite some time.
Yeah, and it's great that we have the extra playoff spot for it too, because I think there's a lot of good, decent teams, and I think it's fun to see these teams battle for a postseason spot rather than thinking about their next draft pick already.
Yeah, should be interesting when the Pittsburgh Steelers end up winning the Super Bowl over the
Ugh,
Philadelphia Eagles this year.
ugh, just kill me now. I will say, if the Steelers get that spot over New England, I'm probably gonna flip a table. I won't. I
Okay.
won't be on this podcast for a few weeks after that.
Isn't kind of will you break the table all a Buffalo Bills style?
I don't think I have the back and hips to do that. I would just.
Yeah,
I don't
don't
know
hurt
why people.
yourself.
Why do people do that? Like, I don't get it.
Alcohol.
That's true, but I get drunk all the time and I don't break tables. In fact, I don't really break much of anything when I'm drunk, except for my brain.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm not really a big breaking things, not really a big breaking things guy in general. Like I remember like in Mythbusters, right? They would always like, oh look, we're doing explosions. Like, okay, just solve the myth. What are we doing here? Why I don't need an explosion just to figure out, okay, would the thing in Jaws work or not? Let me know. I don't need this explosion.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't know. Seems like a weird situation. You know, you're spending at least probably $20 to $30 on the table too, just to
Hmm.
jump on it. And then you got, potential medical expenses. I don't know.
Yeah, and
Go
what if you're using the table? Like what now what do you have to bring a second table, one to use and then one for jumping?
What if someone jumps on the wing eating table and then you're out of tables?
Yeah, exactly. What if you didn't pack enough tables?
An incidental table jump.
Yeah, a lot of confusions. Bill's Mafia. Alex says Bill's Mafia built different. Yeah, Bill's Mafia. I like this. They buy those tables in bulk. They have to sell those, right? That would be a great you go to a game and like there's people like selling T-shirts like on the way in or whatever. Like there's got to be like table vendors on the way in, right?
I love the idea of a Costco in Buffalo just having like buy 4 tables, get one free sort of
uh
thing.
Do you think they have like how like in like movie sets they have like glass that like breaks but it doesn't hurt at all? Like, do you think they have like fake phony tables for Bills fans,
Uh I don't
or is that
know. Like
like frowned upon?
I think that's got to be like that's poser mentality, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
if
I
you
think
showed
you're
up
right.
with a breakaway table, like you're just
Mhm.
getting banished off the island. They probably know the difference.
You probably, yeah, probably they can be like, "Hey, wait a second, that's screwed. That didn't. I don't know. Let's. You're probably a Patriots fan in disguise or something."
Those are real
Uh,
pros up there.
yeah. Okay, we'll open the wrong. Luke Brown says, "Who is excited to watch the Chiefs versus Giants?" I actually am looking forward to that game. Weirdly.
Uh Kadarius Toney might play. That's going to be fun. I want to see him
Hmm.
go against the Chiefs defense. And I mean, are the Chiefs going to figure this out? I mean, that's the question. Because if they lose this game, the panic's at 15 out of 10, right? Like you're now thinking, are we going to miss the playoffs?
I really very much enjoyed the. I'm not sure how much you followed this. There's been a trend now of like Jackson Mahomes TikToks with depressed Patrick Mahomes in the background, which has been very very entertaining. I very much enjoyed those.
I did see a couple of them. They're pretty
Uh,
funny.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I got no comment on it. I don't know.
Uh, yeah, very good. Yeah, and the Manning brother, tribute Manning cast as well. Do you like the Manning cast? I know you're not a big fan of the Mannings, right? Because given the football, or is it more of like now that they're retired, you don't really care so much?
No, I like it. I'm I'm
Hmm.
I'm kind of indifferent about it now that they're retired. I
Uh-huh.
think it's pretty clear that Brady's the best of all time.
Yeah.
That's a different conversation though.
Better than Eli?
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty refreshing take, and I'm not a huge fan of the Monday Night Crew, anyways.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that they are insightful at times and pretty knowledgeable. I think the one thing I've wished is that they had like a host. Like if like Mina Kimes was up there and like
Hmm.
at least knew how to go to commercial, I feel like it'd be
Right.
really, really good. But
Hmm.
they just like they're like talking through commercials, and then they have these setups where they have like guests who like are like talking on their iPhones, and it's like I can't hear a word you're saying, Ray Willis. You're not talking into the phone. So
Yeah.
I think it could be cleaned up a little, but at the same time, they kind of wanted it this way.
Yeah, Luke Brown says actually haven't watched the Manning cast. Maybe I should. Yeah, I recommend it for anyone
Yeah,
who's
I do like it.
listening. If you like my videos about like sort of like breaking stuff down, like you're probably like that's kind of what they do in real time, which is it's fun. It makes my job more difficult when I make Monday videos because they already say half the stuff, so I gotta go above and beyond.
Yeah, gotta one up the Mannings. That's
Not easy to do, Kyle. Yeah, but that's very fun. Kind of a longer show, but this was fun. Kyle, did you have a happy Halloween?
I was out a lot of the night. I dressed as a
Mm-hmm.
Toon Squad player.
Okay.
I didn't dress as Bug Bunny because I couldn't find the ears, but I dressed as
Gotcha.
a Toon Squad member.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had a lot to drink and had a good time.
I would say Peyton is arguably better than Brady. Brady was in a much better situation most of his career. Brady was great on the Manning cast. Kyle, is stupid moniker here in the chat putting the stupid in his name with this comment?
It's your opinion, man. It's your opinion. It's
Uh-huh.
okay. I'm not debating it anymore. I have my beliefs and I think I'm right. But it's okay. You can believe what you want.
I mean, let's not forget about Brad Johnson belongs in the conversation.
Who's the best Buccaneers quarterback of all time? Brad Johnson, Tom Brady, or Josh Freeman?
Freeman. Mm-hmm. Freeman,
Freeman,
yeah.
definitely, yeah.
What, 25 touchdowns, 5 picks. Yeah, it's taken him a long time to develop. All right, he's going to get there. Just, we'll be all right.
The fact, wasn't he like third in MVP that year?
I think he was, I don't know about that, but I think he was definitely like, there was talks about him being MVP. There was a time when I was like, thank God we got Freeman instead of Stafford. Woo, nailed that one. We got it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. Like, that's even weirder than like the Case Keenum in Minnesota year. Like
Mm-hmm.
the anomaly that was the Josh Freeman season.
Yeah, very fun. Hey, don't forget about Josh McCown, one of the goats.
That was one of his 20 teams.
Yep. He had the helicopter throw directly to a Panthers player. Oh man, that season was great. McCown and Glennon going back and forth, like the two most like obvious backup quarterbacks. And then the Bears paid Mike Glennon like $15 million a year. Oh, that was fun times.
Yeah. Didn't you have who is it? Chris Mims too. Chris Sims.
Chris Sims. Yeah, Chris Sims. He was actually all right with us.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
didn't he like tear his spleen and that kind of ended his Tampa Bay career? Do I remember that correctly?
Yeah. Here's a fun stat. Here's a fun fact, Kyle. Again, we're going way long. This is completely off the rails at this point. Guess most recent quarterback to take the Buccaneers to the playoffs, not counting Tom Brady.
Most recent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not Freeman. Didn't they win the division that year?
Nope. They went 10-6 and missed the playoffs.
Wow. Okay. Is it Chris Sims?
Not Chris Sims. Jeff Garcia.
That's right. Oh,
wow. 2007. That was fun. I remember there was a game when 2008, got a bloody lip and was playing through it. Then we lost to the stupid Raiders who were like 3-13 that year. Rough times, but now we won a Super Bowl, so things are cool.
Yeah, that's true. What an odd. I forgot that whole like post Jeff Garcia thing.
Yeah.
I knew the thing that he was like bullied by Terrell Owens, and then he had a pretty good couple of years in Philadelphia, and then I forgot that he ended up on Tampa after all that.
Yeah, that's a very fun trivia fact, I think. All right, that's our show. I hope you enjoyed us rambling for 10 minutes at the end here. Kyle, why don't you let them know where they can find us before we head out?
Make sure to follow him at Jackson Kruger on Twitter. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Grondin on Twitter, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK on Twitter. That's at On the Sideline JK. Real quickly to answer TJ, we'll probably talk about the World Series on Wednesday's show because the World Series hopefully will be over by then. We'll see how it goes. We'll probably talk about it on Wednesday's show for sure.
Yeah, isn't it okay? I guess because technically it could still be going on. Yeah.
Potentially. We'll see. We'll see. I don't
know. Either way. Jim fun. Yeah, so do that. Kyle, any final thoughts before we head
out? We'll see what happens. Chiefs, Giants. Chiefs got some stuff to figure out. And Patriots are back, baby. 500. We're going to whip off a winning streak here, heading to the playoffs.
Yes, that's the Dominic Fulton. Brad Johnson, greater than Tom Brady, greater than Josh Freeman. Hey, how about Josh Johnson, former Buccaneers legend? Getting some playing time for the Jets today.
Did he? Wow.
Yeah.
You know who you have to draft, though, to follow up Tom Brady, right?
Who's that?
Max Johnson. He's at LSU.
Who is Max Johnson? Is that who is that?
It's Brad's kid.
Right. That's what I was thinking. Okay.
Oconee County.
Okay.
County,
well, that's
Georgia.
yeah. Got to do that. All right. Well, that should be fun. Final chat. Luke Brown, Kyle a homer. Yeah, fair.
Yeah, I am. It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I showed up to the podcast in a Mac Jones jersey. I don't know what you expected. Been
Yes.
just brewing that mac and cheese all day.
Brewing. Anyway, thank you to everyone. We do appreciate watching after the fact. There's also the audio only file anywhere you get your podcast. Check that out. Hope you guys enjoyed this extra long edition on Halloween. Again, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.
Peace.
I think I said it wrong. It's have a good one. That's what I say in the podcast.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Have a good one. All right. Now ending. Bye.
Peace.